Today we are cooking from home because
That's the sauce.
that is just you. These are my kids. What's your name?
Marshall and Davy.
And this is Davy. These are my twins. How old are they? 26?
4.
Oh, okay. So this might be much more painful than the video yesterday.
I just ruined myself on an arm on a floor.
Yeah, right?
I have this in my hand.
What's that called?
I don't know.
Okay, we're gonna talk about
Mixer.
that. It's a type of mixer. So we're making this video because I wanted to share with you something that we use the biscuit method for. I always joke and say I'm just changing worlds, changing lives, teaching the biscuit method. But my grade 10s, we have not done this yet. So it is actually kind of important to learn. And we're gonna do my favorite. We're talking as a video. So we're gonna do my favorite recipe, which are orange cranberry scones. No one else will be eating these except for us and our family, as you can see. So
that little noise.
what was that little noise?
Turn it up.
It's the oven, right?
Yeah.
The oven's ready. Okay, so I've got my oven preheated to 375.
I have this one.
Yeah, this recipe.
I don't get it on my forehead.
This recipe is from my homegirls in Calgary, the Best of Bridge ladies. If you don't know about the Best of Bridge ladies, they used to be married to a bunch of stampeders in the 80s. They got together and put together their recipes, and they're wicked. Like if you have some recipes kicking around like Schwartzy potatoes and like there's some hamburger soup recipes like those classics, I almost guarantee they're from here. So today we're doing the orange cranberry scones. I'm going to put the recipe in the comments for you. There's a couple things that you can vary in this recipe if you want. So when we're doing the biscuit method, we need to make sure that we are adding our dry ingredients first. So we're going to start with... Yeah, who made you that dress?
Mom.
So we're going to start with 2 3/4 cups of flour. Marshall, can you please put the first scoop of flour in?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so you'll see that baking with my children, we cut corners. See, like it'd be like faster. Okay, put that one in. Great. We need one more.
I took your head off.
Oh my goodness, poor Merida.
Please put it back on.
Not right now, but I will. Okay, and then we need, Davey, do you want to do a scoop? Or do you want to do the sugar? Okay, so this one.
Because I have a scooper.
That's called a pastry blender.
I have a pastry.
Okay, that's perfect. Put that in.
I put it on my face.
Okay, great. There you go. So that's 2 3/4 cups of flour in our mixture.
Yes.
And now because we're doing a scone, we're going to add some sugar. So we need 1/2 cup of sugar in this recipe right into the recipe. Yeah, you bet. There's nothing I'd rather do. There.
Too thin.
Yes.
I really like it.
Huh?
This is too thin.
Well, they're going to hopefully watch at home. They're probably sleeping and playing video games, though.
Yeah, but I had to go to my room still.
Who can put this one in for me?
Me.
We're adding 1/2 cup of sugar. The same method if you use, Davey, can you gently stir this, please? We need, if you're doing like a savory biscuit, like the Red Robin or the Red Lobster scones. Yeah, just stir it. We're going to use this in a minute. So this is really important. So if you don't have a pastry blender at home, then you can use a couple knives.
Yeah, and you can use some of this.
Yeah, you bet you can use some of that. So
Or sugar.
I never had a pastry blender growing up. My mom didn't make scones or anything. And it was one of the things that I bought when I was moving out. It was one of the first things I was like, oh yeah, I love making scones, so this is great. Okay, so we're gonna add both baking soda and baking powder to this recipe. So the recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. I have my 1 teaspoon measurement, so we're gonna kind of eyeball it. Okay, great. Can you put that in, Marshall, for me, please? Super. Davey, why are we mixing those ingredients? Do you know? Can you tell everybody?
Because we're making scones.
We're making scones. So we want to mix the ingredient. We want to mix the dry ingredients. 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
Yeah, because I don't know that.
You don't know that? Well, we mix them so we don't have just all the salt in one area, right? Okay, so we're going to make sure that everything is incorporated in there. Flour, baking powder, and now we need the baking powder. So baking powder is kind of key in these recipes for biscuits or scones because it's going to be the leavening agent that gives that like kind of puffiness in the oven.
Yeah.
So it's going to take 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Marshall, which actually is a tablespoon and a teaspoon. Davey, can you measure this for me with that spoon? So we've got 1 tablespoon. Level it off. Okay, good. And then Marshall, can you measure 1 teaspoon, please? Of that. Yeah. And then Davey, really gently mix it in. Good job. Okay. Good. Okay, so we've got our baking soda, baking powder, salt, flour, and now and now we are going to cut in the butter. So you need half a cup of butter. I'm using half a cup of butter.
Half a cup of butter. I want to do that.
So we're gonna add margarine. It's fine if you have it. What I love most about these is that they're pre-measured in half cups. You want to chop? Okay, but I'm gonna need you to use this right away. So we're gonna take out the spoon. Davey's gonna put the butter in there. Make sure, there we go. Now, just put that to the side. Now what you're gonna do, no, we're not gonna use a spoon. Careful, my girl. We're gonna leave the spoon there, and what we're gonna do, Davey, can you put your hand on it, please?
Yes.
Yep. What we're gonna do is we're gonna push.
Mash.
We're gonna mash it in. So the recipe says till it resembles pea-sized chunks. So we're gonna keep going till it's a little bit little. Now you want to be using hard fat in this. Any hard fat will do. If you've got butter, margarine, cold shortening, just make sure that it's refrigerated. Yeah. And the reason why is because that's going to give that like flakiness of biscuits. Okay? Yeah. Marshall, don't touch it yet.
And you had to say cheese after.
Cheese? Oh, it's not taking pictures, it's taking a video. We'll take a picture though Okay, so I'm just pushing the clumps off of the pastry blender there.
Yeah!
Yeah, we're still mixing in it. Okay?
I want to play in my bedroom.
Okay, you can go to that if you want. Or do you want to stay here and make the video? Mash it. Good job. Davey, did you want to stay here? You can. You want what? That's not cheese, that's butter. We have to smush them up. Okay, so that's as much as I'm going to get done right now.
Dad, Davey is annoying.
Marshall, someone say that you're annoying too. Okay, so get your hands out of it, buddy. We need to do something else. So you want like pieces of fat in it. That's what's going to give you the texture. That is the biscuit method. That's what makes that flaky texture. We're going to use the same method when we do our pies later, okay? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add our cranberries. As Mr. Dawson calls them, garbage bog berries. You can use, if you don't have cranberries or if you don't like them, you can use frozen raspberries, except they make the biscuits or the scones quite a bit wetter. And these are nice and fresh. It says to coarsely chop them, but I'm fine with not. I've never tried it with a raisin. Here, can you add those? So I'm just using craisins. Add those in, and now Marshall, can you stir those in with a spoon?
I need a long time.
Okay, bye. Davey needs a long time.
This?
No, you can use this. Okay.
I want to use this.
Sure, do that. Oops. Okay, so Marshall's going to get those in there, and the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to zest our orange. So one of my favorite parts about this recipe, and when I make this at school, people come down the halls and like, what are you making? Because it smells so fresh. It is the orange zest. And this grade 10s, this is a really important lesson or skill because there's a difference between zest, rind, peel, and I just want you, the zest, when you see something for the zest, it is just the colorful part. So I'm going to use my microplaner. If you don't have a microplaner, you can use the side of your box grater, like the small side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grate the orange just so the color comes off of it. Okay, and I'm going to do the whole orange. So it's just like one swipe per like area of the orange. Because as soon as you start getting to, as soon as you get that really vibrant color off, now you're getting the bitter part of your orange. Okay.
She am mixing it?
I am, yeah, you bet.
No, I'm mixing it.
Are you mixing it? Yeah, stop squishing that butter though, buddy. That's our flaky. That's the flaky part. That's the flaky part, you little monkey.
Nice student.
Hi, students.
Hi, students. I'm a bit shy at you.
You're a bit shy at them? Okay. So now I'm just going to get the rest on the back of my microplaner here. Okay, Marshall, can you use a spoon to stir that? We're going to use some of this orange later, so don't get rid of it quite yet. Okay? While Marshall's doing that, I'm going to get my liquid ready. So in this recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk or plain yogurt. I happen to have plain yogurt. I don't usually. So I just happen to have it. If you do not have it, you can make buttermilk with milk and vinegar, or if you wanted it dairy-free, you could use almond milk and vinegar. The trick is the vinegar, because you need an acid to kind of work with that baking soda to make them kind of puffier. So if you're using an acidic liquid, you could go ahead and use whatever you have on hand. Water with a bit of vinegar would be fine too, okay? So what I think is really important, and a lot of people teach baking like if the recipe has to be 1000%, it doesn't. Like whatever you have on hand sometimes is great. And I think it's important to learn those differences. So I do happen to have plain Greek yogurt. I also have vanilla yogurt, which would work too. Yogurt is acidic, so we're getting what we need there. Okay, buddy, you don't need to mix anymore. So I'm gonna measure 3/4 of a cup. The reason I'm measuring it in a little bit, and you know what, my yogurt is pretty thick because it's Greek yogurt. So what I'm gonna do, I know this is a little off-putting, I'm just gonna thin it out a little bit, and that's gonna make it a lot easier to mix in. So it's not gonna be so thick. That's perfect, 3/4 of a cup. Marshall, do you want to crack the egg? Okay, I need you to crack it into here, okay, buddy? Tapping on a flat edge, it's my boy. Crack it in.
I don't want to.
Okay. You don't want your fingers to be eggy? Okay. And also, what's not on the recipe, but I'm going to add, can you mix those together? I'm going to add a little splash of vanilla, just because this is a sweet recipe, and I think the vanilla enhances basically anything we make. In my opinion.
Hi,
Okay.
students.
Hi, students. Who's that? Well, who's barking?
Julie.
That's our dog. Part of the joys of teaching at home. Okay, so now Marshall, can you help me? We've got our mixture here with our dry ingredients. If you're making like a cheese biscuit, you're not gonna add the sugar, you're gonna cut in the fat, add your cheese, then you're gonna add your liquid, okay? Watch your fingers, buddy. So we're gonna get all of that liquid in. Can you stir it with a spoon, please?
It helps me.
If you're using, what? Milk? Right now? Can we finish this and then I'll get you some milk? Yeah? I cut this butter into pieces. It's a metaphor of my life right now.
I hate that.
What? That's a pretty hard word. What do you hate?
Word.
What?
That word.
Butter? Cut into pieces. Okay, now I've got the liquid in there and I'm going to get in there with my hands, okay? So Marshall, if you want to, Marshall, you can help me knead it, okay? We can bring it together. If you use a buttermilk, the dough is going to come together much easier. If you use the yogurt, it's going to be a little bit drier. That's okay, Marshall, we can wipe it off. I'm not happy with this, so I'm going to just add a little bit of water to try and bring this biscuit dough together.
I don't mind because I don't.
What don't you mind?
I like them.
You don't what?
Aren't in my heart, and not in its heart.
Yeah. When you're making a biscuit, a scone, a pie, and you're using the biscuit method, you do not want to overmix, because that's what's going to happen is you're going to squish all of that nice cold butter that you cut in. Please don't do that, buddy. Yeah, it's not time to do that. I'm gonna add a little bit more water. Okay.
It looks like poop.
So my son says it looks like poop.
My favorite.
As Mr. Dawson would say the same thing. Am I right? Cats? Say Uncle Cats for shame.
Uncle Cats for shame.
For shame. Okay, yeah. Knead it. Help me knead it. Okay, let's bring it onto the board. Let's clear some space so people can see.
Okay.
Okay. Turn it up. Put it there. Okay. Now, so I'm gonna let him knead it because yeah, but we don't want to over knead it because then we're gonna squish all that butter. Okay. But you just want to like. Don't want to over knead it, right? So we just want to get it together. Now, what I have seen so many recipes over the years is that roll it out, cut it out. I'm all about skipping steps. If you know me, you know that I am efficient AF. I don't like spending a lot of time doing things I don't have to. That is, and it's you. So what I'm going to do is what's called a drop biscuit. So what I'm my student. You're my student. Yeah, and my son. Can you stop squeezing it for a second, buddy? Thank you. So I'm just going to roll it kind of into like a cylinder, like a log.
Or a snake.
Or a snake. It's kind of like a python though. And I'm going to decide how many biscuits or scones I'm going to be making. I can't remember what the recipe says. I think it makes 12 large. But remember that I've got 2 small children. So if they eat something, they might take a bite and then get rid of it. So I'm not going to make huge ones. I think I'm going to make smaller ones. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some from the end, kind of form it into a biscuit and drop it. Okay? Pull some off. Good. Form it into a biscuit, roughly, and drop it. That's his size. Okay. You do want them the same size, okay? These aren't going to spread out. If anything, they're just going to rise up a little bit. What I like to do for putting stuff on a pan, I like to do 3, 2, 3, 2, and then I can kind of sneak a couple more on.
I want the biggest one now.
The biggest one, they have to be the same size, sweet buddy.
Because I don't.
Because you don't what?
I don't want.
Okay. You don't love them? Oh! What did I do?
You messed it up.
Did I mess it up or did I set us up for success?
Success.
Success? Okay, I'm gonna try and get 3 more on.
I don't mind.
Huh?
I don't mind that because
You don't mind it? Let's squish them over a little bit here. Again, I'm lazy. I like 1 pan if I can. So they're getting a little bit bigger. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go back to my first one and drop a little bit more on there, okay? Okay, so I like...
This one is rolling.
It's perfect. Is it rolling off? Should I make... Ooh, careful, sweetheart. Okay, so because of the leavening agents in the dough, because of the yogurt, the sour yogurt, you could probably use sour cream. I would thin it out a little bit. So I think I said sour cream earlier. Just make sure it's an acid. I'm just trying to think of other things you could use in your house. Okay, bye, buddy. Okay, so this is how my biscuits look. Yeah? And so I've done 3, 2, 3, 2. I do this for cookies too. If you're doing something that spreads out, don't put them as close. These guys are gonna go up a little bit. Temperature is 375. I think the recipe says about 15 minutes. So I'm gonna post this video and I'm gonna come back. I'll do a second video because I don't know how to edit anything. This is where I'm at in my quarantine journey. And I'll show you what they look like and how we're gonna glaze them, okay? So let me pop these in my preheated oven. I will talk to you soon.